Okay, I don't know what to tell you people. Microsoft is backing us into another corner. I'm getting questions about how to progress further into all of this. Search and rescue missions are becoming nearly impossible to achieve because they want us to now open a flipping company. Heidi here says that, what do you want to do? Don't worry if you're not ready. You can always come back here when you've made more progress and more licenses are available. Well, you're real sweet. So we've got this option in the companies now where we can go search and rescue, but you can see that there's one requirement that we don't have ticked off just yet, even though we are a little ticked off about how long this is taking. I don't have an aircraft available for purchase. It's getting absolutely out of hand because it's mandatory that we do this. We cannot go any further. This is an overview. From here, we're going to quickly summarize the progress of your own companies. So they are going to force us to create a company to progress further. When you are in the map and looking around, what you're going to find out is that you are not going to see that red icon that we came across in order to find search and rescue missions around the planet anymore. They vanish. You're going to get the opportunity to do 4 of them after you find the red icon on the map. Once you complete those 4 missions and you are in your headquarters, you're going to be given this new option in the center that says companies. I don't have a company. I don't have any aircraft. And it also says that I don't even have any credits. Well, in the upper right-hand corner, you can see that I have 24,180 credits. So this becomes another thing that they absolutely need you to do in order to progress further into the simulator. I'm in my companies. There's a menu along the bottom that is something you can scroll through, and wouldn't you know it, search and rescue is buried almost at the end. And there it is again. We do not have this. Look at the expectations of what we're looking at right here before we can continue. We need to purchase an aircraft, and the cheapest one is 100,360 credits, at least from what I can tell. There's really not even anything clear in here that says if that's the cost of that helicopter. Because, I mean, we're talking again about 2 marshmallow helicopters that are just sitting there nice and white with no livery on it whatsoever. But this dude's going to charge me 2.15 mil. And I need to create a company that's 40,000 credits before I can progress at all. I can no longer use the company headquarters of the freelance business that I've been doing so far. Nope. I am going to be forced to create a company. So the only thing we have left to do at this point is sit here and earn 40,000 credits doing other missions inside of the mission tab. And here's something else that is extremely frustrating. Even though we have our search and rescue rating right now, every one of these missions in here is a ferry flight, flight seeing, or we have, well, let's get on a little bit closer here. They've got the passenger transport. I mean, it is in a Cabri. That's great. I've got a turbine rating, but we're still getting mission sets for the Cabri. This is great. Here's another one. But I can use the H-125, but I'm going to have to do this as a passenger transport to earn the money. I haven't seen any other icons, and I've been scrubbing the planet looking for this. I have not seen any other icons anywhere on the planet that are going to allow me to conduct any sort of search and rescue mission with my helicopter at all. Here's a search and rescue. It doesn't say search and rescue hoist. This says search and rescue. We've already discovered that we can do search and rescues, but not hoists because Microsoft, not available. Again, it's telling me I need to complete all of the prerequisites first. I have, and this is also something you should see here, that it is a Cub Crafters X Cub. This is a fixed wing. That's not what I'm here to do. There's no other place. Let's look at the bottom of the world. I mean, where in the world is Carmen Sandiego at this point? There's nowhere on the planet, even though I am here for this mission. I have already conducted these HEMS missions. We know what we're doing. We've got great grades. There is not a single search and rescue mission in a helicopter available on this planet at this point. We have to backpedal and go through this as a ferry flying pilot to earn enough money to be able to do search and rescue hoist, or at this matter, search and rescue at all. There's literally not a single icon on the entire planet for this career path to continue. If you find it anywhere, hidden in your simulator, and I haven't, I know our, icons are going to appear in different places around the earth, but am I missing something again? Or is Microsoft really forcing us down this path of resistance again? I feel like I'm working against the Death Star at this point. It is absolutely ridiculous, the path that they're forcing you to do it. And now I have to go backwards. So hopefully that helped answer a couple of questions on why you can't progress past mission 4 when it comes to search and rescue. I will get into some issues here just in a free flight, because right now, let's be honest, I'm a little bit done with the career mode. I want to take a break. If you can't tell, it's a little frustrating for me to have to break this news to everyone, or even for myself to have to witness it and be a part of it. It's absolutely ridiculous. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to get into some free flights here in a second. And we are going to teach you a little bit how to get your trim working in the 225, the 125, and hopefully any aircraft. And this is going to be based off of your key bindings. Again, I'll say it over and over and over again. The most important part to these flights and proper operation of an aircraft, fixed wing or rotor, is key bindings. It has to be done every single time to verify that your key bindings are what you're expecting them to be. Because we have lots of requirements to take care of inside of Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 that were absolutely nowhere to be found in 2020. 2024 looks great, feels great, but at the same time, it makes you want to wring someone's neck for just adding so much more to this situation that doesn't need to be in the sim. Especially since this was, Microsoft's third-party developer Hype Performance Group working on this. All of this was not something that you were required to do when you were using their action pack. It wasn't a thing. So why all of a sudden did they make the decision to say, you know what? We're going to force people to walk backwards. Let's do it. Why? I am so frustrated with this crap right now. It's not even funny. Can you tell? I'm sure you guys are just as frustrated as I am. It honestly doesn't matter where we spawn in at this point, but I'm not going to spawn in yet. I'll repeat myself one more time. If you are I was actually in the MiG-3 last night. If you are in an aircraft, you need to make sure that your key bindings are in the proper position before you go into a flight. We're going to get into a helicopter. Now, if you notice, I've got some here that some of you may not have. I've got the 145 military, the 160 civilian. These are all my 2020 assets that have been successfully brought over. And even though in 2020, Hype Performance Group rated this helicopter as a search and rescue helicopter, when I go into this and look at it and try to configure it, wouldn't you know, we're going to backpedal some more. They really like walking backwards because in the livery section, oh wait, I only even have 2 different variants, civil and luxury. Search and rescue isn't even an option. Liveries, what do you know? We don't have anything search and rescue, but we can buy more liveries. How sweet of you. Absolutely unbelievable. I digress. I dye the grass with the blood of many. This is crazy. So let's see. We're going to get into, let's start with the H-125. I have the aircraft selected. I'm going to use the settings wheel in the upper right-hand corner before I've entered a mission before I do this. Then I'm going to go into the controls. And I'm going to do this every time I sit down in a helicopter or airplane. It takes forever for the presets to load for some odd reason. Okay, it's actually saved my presets this time, at least at first glance. General controls, helicopter controls, and specific H125 controls are all the presets that I had previously determined. Throttle. Let's see if these are also in the same configuration. Yes. Let's go with the collective. Are they in the right spot? Yes, they are. So it's remembered that much. We're here to talk about trim. So here's what we need to do. I'm just going to search the word trim inside of this menu. Now you'll notice that this is helicopters in analog or digital. Okay? There's a lot to pay attention to when you're kind of doing these key bindings. And again, it's a little bit too deep for what it really honestly should be. And look at the list of things that you can trim. Helicopter engine beep trim, decrease, increase, beep trim 2. These are engine trims. In 2020, the trims that worked best for me were beep trims that you could set up in the actual fold-out iPad that was on the right side of our cockpit instruments. So what I've done now is I've got aileron trim left, right, elevated trim nose down, elevator trim nose up, mapped to a hat switch. So if I click on this right now, I should see where this is at. So this is trim left. I should have that on this button. Okay, so if you're looking at the picture on the right hand side of the monitor of the collective, I'm using the hat switch in the center by my thumb on top. The hat switch, not the buttons. You'll also see that this has 3 conflicts, 3 conflicts, 2 conflicts, 2 conflicts. Remember, these conflicts will burn you. Input repetition. This is something that Microsoft, Asobo, and the rest of the team have put in there for whatever reason to say that we want that button press to continuously happen until they let go of the button. And even if they press it once, there's a chance it's going to fire more than once. Deselect this option. Again, I told you earlier, this is something that I had already set up. All of these conflicts I had already removed. Yes, it looks like the preset was saved the proper way. The nomenclature as far as how it's named stays right. But what's going on deeper in the menu seems to be consistently reverting back to nonsense. Because the conflicts are cockpit view, previous instrument view, and external view right. You have to sit here and eliminate these conflicts. And hopefully, one of these days soon, they'll figure out how to make this a static menu that doesn't change every time you close it. So here we go. Again, to do this, you need to use the square with the upper 45-degree arrow pointed in it, so it comes into this menu up here in the upper left. That's the active button configuration that you're using, and then just click delete. Here's another thing that really irritates me. I know that there's more conflicts here. Where did they go? Why can't I just continue to modify this without having to go back, find the conflict? You know, see, this was down to 2 now. Great, awesome. But why do I have to go out of the menu, back into the menu, and keep doing this round robin with these guys? It's absolutely broken. Because, like I said, you have to do this every time. At least that's the experience I have run into at this point. If I had much hair on my head, I would probably be pulling it out. But again, all of these conflicts need to be removed. I don't want to cancel. Hold on. See, I'm rushing because the blood be pumping. The blood of many be pumping. I missed that one too. Slow your roll, home slice. Did I just totally jack that one up? I think I did. Aileron trim right is at the top. We need to swap it with the cockpit view, right? Okay, we're still in good place. I got a little dizzy on this merry-go-round carousel nonsense that Microsoft and Asobo and the rest of the team have currently put us into. Yes, some of these could probably be used in the aircraft or anything like that, but that's not what I want to do. I need buttons specifically mapped to these issues. External cockpit, external, what, quick view top. And there's so many of these button bindings that you can do. You really have to search deep, long, and hard for all of the ones that you want and where you want them. And this process is stupid. Deleting it. All right, well, now we've got those three without conflicts. We're almost there. We're going to continue to just walk through this ridiculous process. Round robin, up and down, back and forth, yada yada, blah blah blah. Microsoft, I swear, I love what you're doing with the graphics. It's fantastic. Y'all need to keep working to fix some of this ridiculous BS right here. This is the one that I need, so I need to bring it down. So you also have to pay attention to what's going on in this upper left-hand corner. You could be deleting the wrong input if you're not paying close enough attention. And hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully I've done this properly, even though I'm sitting here red at the lungs at this point for these guys. Now I'm going to go save and back. All of those bindings are clear. There's no conflicts. I have not even started a free flight yet. Save and back. Do it before you reach the planet's surface. Then you should, quote unquote, should, depending on how many of these ridiculous options. I don't even know what to say anymore. I guess, do we just say, does it work? Where am I trying to go? I want to go somewhere that doesn't have a lot of terrain. I want to make sure that we can just get into this. Let's hop into Schaumburg Regional. Let's go to 06 Charlie. If you want to fly along, I'll even set my flight conditions so you can do that. Oh, that's a -6 Charlie. Okay, so 06 Charlie. Thank you, and thank you again. Schaumburg Regional. Then I will go into flight conditions. I'm going to see who's out there. I will be live online for this one. So if you want to fly along, let's see what happens if you guys can join in. Oh, wait a minute. If you'll notice, here we go again, Microsoft. Weather and time, checked off as live. Air traffic, checked off as live. Multiplayer, checked off as all players. But at the right-hand side, you can see that there is a little yellow X over live players. Do I actually have to press that one to make it work? It's not even available. Is Microsoft's servers taking another gigantic hit at this point? All signs point out probably. I mean, they've experienced one crash after another in the last 5 days. I don't think these people are sleeping anymore because they're wrecked. I'm not going to spawn into a parking spot. I'm going to just... Why does it say delete and set as arrival, but I can't? Oh, because up here my departures are already set. Okay, moving on. I'm skipping the flight bag. I'm going straight into the flight. Here we go. Let's check to see if what we've done has properly fixed the issue with helicopter trim key bindings. And if it does, you can know that you can apply this method across platforms, and it works for the different aircraft in the sim in your hangar. And it should, quote unquote again, should, I'm going to overuse that word this time, it should allow you to set trims. Something else you might want to consider adding in there is a reset trim button. Look through the menus, try to find what you're looking for as far as the control surface that you want to bind. Be careful about it. Test it. It's a back and forth process that is nothing short of a waste of time. Something they could have also done is very easily grabbed our control surface presets from 2020 and migrated them into the new simulator. They tracked all of the aircraft that millions of people have in their hangars, and within 3 days of launch, we all had those 2024 aircraft, but we're being told that they can't transfer control data? Why not? Was it too much? Did you have your hands full, Jorg? I bet you did. Look at how long it took to load into that bad boy. You saw the load times yesterday. They are running into issues with their servers again, people. That's all this is. This is them working out the bugs. These are the growing pains of the world's most complicated, sophisticated, commercially available flight simulator. It's to be expected, but the problems are more than just a little. It's stupid at this point. So here we go. I'm in the chopper. I'm at the H140 or H125. I'm going to just bring this into a slight hover, and I'm going to use the trims that I selected to move the aircraft. It's drifting to the left, but I'm not holding anything other than nothing. I am not holding onto my controls at this point. I wish I had some kind of camera set up. But if I hold that switch, see, this is where that option to do a continuous input may become useful. So I could hold this trim, right? Instead of having to like beep it one little input at a time. Okay, so it has not recognized that input. Okay, so we're going to add 2 more options to this, and I'm also going to go against the grain in what I've said up to this point as far as manipulating these menu options when you're not on the planet, and we're going to see what we come up with. Okay, I'm just going to put this bad boy into a little hover right here. I'm not honestly going to care. I just want to make sure that when I come back out of the menu system, I'm not crashing. We're going to hit escape. We're going to go back into the settings because we're back on the carousel of goodness that Microsoft has provided us in 2024. We need to find something to reset trim. Ooh, I'm spelling like a pro today. Reset. Rotor trim reset. Y'all see it, okay? Button number 9. It's mapped already, but again, this image on the right-hand side that they call the description doesn't tell you what button is what. There's no nomenclature anywhere that says all of these silver buttons down here are 1 through 6, or it doesn't map that out. Not helpful whatsoever. So just to make this clear on myself, what I can do is hold my cursor over the button that says joystick button 9 and just backspace. Doesn't even work anymore. I'll try it one more time. Backspace. Now it does. Now I can go in here, click the box one time, press the button where I want the reset, and what do you know? I just happen to have guessed, because I've done this before, where rotor trim reset lives. Rudder trim reset. Okay, so you can see the other options that you can do in here. And this is just an arduous task of figuring out this button mapping. Resume. So now that we're here, I'm going to press that button press. I'm in a hover. I've pressed the reset. You can see that it is no longer drifting to the left like it was, but look, all of a sudden it just tweaks itself. Okay? But I'm using the trim. I'm only using the trim. I'm not using collective forward here, but you can see the nose sort of move, right? Let's go back and change this configuration one last time to see if we can get this to work properly. We're going to go back into our collective because that's where this input lives. We're going to search by input and modify these one at a time. Search by input, use the hat switch. I'm going to come over to the systems settings and see that this one is checked. Input repetition. Okay, you see where I'm going with this? Input repetition. So now let's search by input for the left input. I've already changed these. You saw me do this. Now it's telling it to decrease rotor lateral trim as a different button mapping. I went through this already and deleted these, but why is it coming back? What is actually happening, Microsoft? Okay, so there was a conflict in one of those. Let's go back through these again one more time. I haven't gone through all of them, but I'm going to deselect. No, I want all of these active this time because I think it might be helpful for us to just hold that button to the right, left, up, or down to be able to get continuous input while we do this. Right? Makes sense? Because it's a trim that I don't want to have to use as a wheel. There could be an access in there, sort of like, you know, the wheel on the left of the HOTAS throttle, or, you know, the little slider at the bottom of your collective that's there on that screen. There's other places to put these. I don't know if it would work or not. I haven't tried it. Maybe we can go through it in this video if I'm not screaming in a minute. We'll see. So far, this has been just absolutely stupid. We're going to put all of these back to continuous for a test. And I might need to do this outside of the planet again to make it actually work. Aha. See, now I'm in. I'm just going to press the back button. You can see the tail start to dip. It only dips a little bit. I hit the reset, and it does start to just, it glitches all of a sudden. You're right. The system is broken, but that is how you would map it. Again, these are the growing pains of a new simulator that is trying to do more than it should. When you're using the same control inputs from one simulator to another, there is no reason to force a user to go through this process all again, especially while you're forcing them to do it in a system that hasn't been properly tested. The reason it wasn't tested is because they went overboard when it came to their expectation for their date of launch. They were not ready. We all know it. These are the growing pains. But that is how you are going to fix this issue. While I'm in a steady hover, I'm going to try reset again. Let go. She swings to the left a little bit. Try to put a little bit of the right trim, and you can see, though, again, I am not touching anything other than my hat switch. You can see that the aircraft wants to stop doing that. It wants to stop moving for a second. If I hold it, it does, and then all of a sudden it goes the other way. So what I'm going to do, excuse me, first thing in the morning, this has been the opposite of the way I want to wake up. However, let's get back over here where we give ourselves a little bit more room. And I hand fly these. I'm not using autopilots ever when I'm doing HEMS missions or any kind of flight inside of these. So you know, I don't use trims. I'm hand flying, and generally speaking, the center for the cyclic winds up to be in a pretty decent position. All right, so here we go. The question becomes, are there any other conflicts that they aren't telling us about? Settings mode. So right now we've been putting our settings in to the collective. Let's see what happens if we go to controls and go to keyboard and go to trim. Elevator trim it's not even here as an option. It doesn't show you that a preset for this specific control input exists. It's showing you that it's blank, but it's a lie. Even if you go in here and try to scan cancel, right? Why would in this menu there be no way for you to tell if this input has already been mapped in a different surface? I think that this is part of the problem with their systems and the coding that goes into it, because this information isn't being carried from one menu to the next. So we're going to have to wait for those developers to put some blood on their fingertips while they figure out some coding issues, because they have a lot of them just in this menu system alone, where we're going to see words that don't fit in the text box and they're overlapping, things are hard to see, and things are broken. This is no fault of your own. This is them just pushing the limit on how far they needed to go to get to the finish line. And they did it on time, but they did it with their tail end first. Save and back, resume. That is what's going on here. Okay, so it reacts for a little while. It will work. It is technically working. The aircraft moves ever so slightly. It is technically broken. I get it. However, you can see the aircraft want to do what it wants to do. So let's see if we can go back and remember what we learned in training. Watch this. Let's see if this works. On our controls in the helicopter, we also have hat switches. Technically, these are the same hat switches that I'm using on my controller, right? So if I can do this without crashing into anything, I don't know why I'm doing this so close to the ground. I think it's just easier to see what the helicopter is doing at this altitude, so it's that translational view. I think this on the top, the hat switch you're seeing turn blue and yellow, is trim. See the aircraft want to stop? See it? It wants to stop. If I use the one below it just to test it, nope, it's not doing it. I think that this one here is trim. Again, I don't have those little call outs on the screen that says what's what. So again, I'm just going to pause this by hitting escape, and I'm going to go into settings, but I'm not going to manipulate control settings. I'm going to go into my assistance settings right now. Yes, I have tail rotor collective and controller sensitivities, blah blah. I have some assists on, because frankly I'm working through some frustrations here. Okay, are you with me? Piloting and controls notifications adjust when you want on-screen notifications about control inputs. If enabled, you will be able to quickly toggle the visibility of the assist by pressing toggle visual assist display. Just another button mapping. Let's see. Is this the one I'm truly looking for, though? You know what I'm looking for is that, like, the pop-out, so when you hold your cursor over a control surface in the cockpit, it tells you what that does. All right? I have to kind of learn what that input is. And that ain't it. I don't think that's it. So now we have this issue of, well, what is it? What is it? It's not going to be in general. That's more for graphics, things along those lines. What is it? What is it going to be? What is that going to be called? Does anybody know? Let's say controls. So if you're not familiar with what these buttons are called, and let's be honest, who is going to be familiar with thousands of control inputs that can be mapped around? Yes, I turned them off in the beginning. They were there, but in the process, I no longer remember what exactly that was called. Do we have anybody on with us right now that would remember what that would be called? All right, so basically what I'm suggesting is that we turn that back on for a minute and figure out if one of those hat switches on the collective is trim. Because when we used trim in the flight training they forced us to go through, it worked, right? But we were using the control surface of the aircraft, not the menu system. So I think more work went into the control surfaces in the aircraft than the amount of work that went into this menu system. Let's see. Decrease bleed, decrease the set bleed. I'm going to read through these as quick as I can and see if I can't find it. Control panel, plane controls. Take control of character. See, all of these changed. Here we got a conflict. See, this is something else that's just a flipping rabbit hole. All of these have conflicts. By default, there are conflicts across the board. I think what I want to do is walk away from this simulator for a bit and really kind of soak in how much time I'm truly going to need to spend to get all of these key bindings what they need to be. That's where I'm at. Microsoft and Asobo and the team, have me frustrated with this system so much, I want to walk away from it and just go fly 2020 for a little while and be happy and do some SAR missions with a cable that doesn't move or a flight mech that doesn't do anything. Just so I can get my peace of mind back. This is so unnecessary. I think that's what we're going to do. Keep working on it. Keep working on these controls, the button mappings. Stick with it. I probably will too. Either way. Thanks for joining us. Hopefully you learned something today. The next one's coming.